from the first page under property basics. So you'll see the list agent there. You can add an additional agent. If there's 2 listing agents, you can do that under the agent tab. You can add them here as well, and then adjust the volume and the commission. But for this case, we're going to pretend like it's a CoBroke, that we don't represent them, and we're going to add them under the commission tab. So I'm going to go ahead and just click the little plus button up here. And the first way that I'm going to show you, there's 2 ways you can do it. And the first way I'm going to show you is that they are already in the system. So when you add a CoBroke agent, they are automatically tied to an office. So if you know it's an agent that's already in the system, you can go and skip directly to the agent tab. And as you can see, once I click in, it clicks for this search for CoBroke agent. The person that I'm going to add here is named Kate Ricard. Now I know she's in the system, so I knew how to search for her, but best recommendation for searching for these people is to search by their last name. Sometimes when you're adding them in, there comes a space at the first name, and if you type in their first and last name and don't have that space, it's not going to pull them up even though they are in the system. So best practice is to just search by their last name. They could also be in there as Katie or some other version of their first name. So here you can see they are here. So I'm going to just highlight them, and you can double click and they'll go in, and you can see that her CoBroke office fills in automatically. And then I'm just going to simply click add. So now you can see I have my CoBroke agent and my CoBroke office. Now, if you have entered as soon as it pops up, and you can just delete, and that will delete them from this.
Hey Jess, you paused a little bit with your connection. Can you show that again, please?
Oh, sure. The whole thing?
Just where you went to go back and delete it.
Oh, sure. Yeah, for instance, say I wanted to delete her. You're just gonna click the edit button and then just this delete, and that will delete them from there. I did get a notification saying my connection's unstable, so it could just be my internet, and I apologize. I'm going to cancel because I do want her in there. So if if everybody caught the part of adding them that they're already in the system, I'm just going to continue. And I'm going to pretend now like they're not in the system. And say I went to my CoBroke agent. I always go to the agent first and then search them. And if I find that they're not there, then I click back out and I go and add. If you're going to add a new person, you have to add the office first. It attaches the agent to the office. So that's why it adds the office first. Now, I know this is Exit Realty. So I'm just going to search by the brokerage first. Now you can see there's a few options for this one. Most of the brokerages are in there, and I know that this one is Paramount. So I'm just going to go ahead and add the broker first. So now you can see that I have the office there, and I'm just going to simply add the agent. So pretend I searched, and let's say it's 80. And she's not here. So then I can just simply go to add person. Now, when you're adding, you can see this person type is blacked out because it knows that you're adding the agent. And you're not able to change that. So I'm just going to add her as Katie and delete later. Pretend like she wasn't in here. Katie Ricard. And then I'm going to skip all of this info and just click add. I'm just going to add their first name and their last name. I want to skip the company name because this is how you create a lot of duplicates. I'm not going to put the Exit Paramount in there. I'm simply just going to add her first and last name. So now we have her in there as Katie as well, and I'm just going to select add. And the same thing I'll show you again. I'm just going to click edit if I'd like to delete her. Before I do that though, I'm actually going to show you how to edit. Say you realize she's in there, but I spelled her name wrong or something. You just simply click the person and you can see it pops over to this people tab. And now I can edit. This is the same way you would edit sellers and buyers if you needed an email address or the source and lead by info to keep it off the dashboard. You can see here, though, she is CoBroke agent, so I'm just going to keep it that way. Since I don't really need her in there, well, let's skip that part. I'm going to go back to the properties. So once I've edited the people, I can just click the tab back, and that'll bring me right to where I left off. I am going to go ahead, though, and delete her from here because I'm going to put her real name in there. So I'm going to go back to agent. And you can see this one is the one I actually want. So I'm going to double click, and then it pops in her name here, and I'm just going to click add. I'm going to just, then if you click over to the people tab, you can see it adds it's under the vendor partner info. You can see I have the CoBroke agent and the CoBroke office. This is also where we add title information, mortgage, mortgage lender, any of that info that we can collect from there as well. I do want to just show you really quick what it looks like to what duplicates look like. So if I go here and search for, let's say, Woodland title, let's go to, oops. Let's go to title for a second. You can see that there's a few options here. Some of them do have the address here, and this is great, great information for if you're printing a check to title or anything like that. Let me think. I'm gonna search. I'm trying to think of one that has a lot of duplicates. If you can see like a lot of them, you'll see in parentheses, it'll say Woodland title next to it.
Chicago title.
You want that one?
Yeah.
So you can see these are title company contact people. And what's happening here is that it's probably got the company name in here. So the best way to add this is to actually add the title company and then the contact after. And then that won't create so many duplicates for this transaction. You see it a lot with the CoBrokes, where there's multiple profiles for each person. And it's mostly because there's a company name in there when they're already attached to the title company. So it's just something to be aware of. I usually use company name if I'm using an LLC or a trust or anything like that. But then I typically will put the first and last name as the signer of the trust or the trustee. But that's really the only places I would use where I'd use both the first and last name and then the company name. Does anybody have questions on that?
So we did lose you just for a second there on the LLC, but her point was typically the only time she ever fills in company name is if it's an LLC and not a vendor like Chicago Title or such. Typically for a buyer or seller that she's adding in. Did I get that right?
Yeah, the trustee is when I would use the first and last name as well as a company name. I'll put the trust name and then the signer of the trust. But other than that, it creates a lot of duplicates if you tend to use both.
Thank you.
Does that make sense?
It does. Who's got questions for us? Again, we really are tracking this data, so it is important to get it in there if we can. If it's not in the closing cover, take a look at the purchase agreement. If you just got handed a HUD, it'll be on the HUD. So maybe you didn't get the pending information, which none of our agents we know would ever do that. But just in case, you can find it on the HUD as well. But we're really striving for at least 90% of this data to be filled in. We're going to start with the CoBroke. Obviously, if you're already putting in title and mortgage, please continue to do so. We're really going to push for that once we all get comfortable putting the CoBrokes in. So go ahead and start on that process if you're comfortable with it. If you do find a misspelling, feel free to correct it. by doing that edit screen like Jessica showed you, or if you do find a duplicate, feel free to delete that as well. We do want to keep this as clean as possible. The problem with deleting the duplicate, it will remove it from any of the pending information that's in there. So you may want to do a quick search to see if they are attached to any of the other files so that you're not taking it out of an active file that we're tracking. Let's see, okay, so Jessica did confirm that we do not need to add any email or contact information at this time. For the most part, our managers are in either iProspect or Moxie Talent or some other program, so we're really just tracking the agent usage, not so much their contact info, but great question there. And Alishka, thank you for the trust and trustee clarification, so I think that was really good, Jessica, as well, to go over that. And so far, I don't see any other questions, but maybe just run through it one time real quick in case anybody had to call in late or took a phone call.
Hey, Carrie, can I bring up a situation?
Oh,
I can see it right here now. This Mortimer Esmeralda Enterprises, that's going to show up on a dashboard. I'm not sure who's in there. So Jessica, can you finish that off to show them again what it needs to be? So we need an email address.
Well, it's only who we represent though. So since we don't represent this one, this is the CoBrokes side, the buying side.
It's still going to show up there, Jessica. For some reason, it still shows up on the dashboard.
Okay, because that should, I think, have been resolved, but in this case, we can just put none@none.com because we won't know
That's exactly what I do, yes. And
Okay.
and I'm not sure why it still is continuing to show up like yesterday. And then the same thing with the source.
Okay, maybe we need to reach out to them because that should have been resolved a while back because we're not gonna have any of that info since we don't represent them.
That's what I feel too, and I don't know
Yeah.
why. You don't need the lead, but that email address, and it has to be in an email format, none@none.com works great if you don't have the information. And then the source. Those are the two big things that show up on the dashboard.
Okay. Yeah, let's maybe follow up with accounttech on that because that, we should probably get some resolution on that.
Okay.
I was understanding that it was only who we represent, and I thought that was an issue when we first got it, and then it got resolved. Oh, I can maybe reach out to Adam and see what's going on there.
Perfect.
Great, thank you. Kate asked if you select CoBroke as a source will allow the absence of email address.
Up here?
I believe so. To keep it off the dashboard.
That's a good question. I'm not sure.
It does not. It doesn't matter what you choose there. It still will reflect on the dashboard.
Okay.
For whatever reason, they do not seem to go together.
Great. I will maybe follow up on that with Adam and see if we can get some resolution on that. Because it shouldn't be asking for that stuff because we're not going to know that.
Correct. Yeah.
Some of it we can find. Sometimes they do supply the email address for those, but I don't normally get them.
Okay, if you could follow that, that would be great. We appreciate that.
Yeah.
Christine asked if an agent changes brokerages, do they go and change that in the people tab? And if so, does that change all the previous files with that agent name on it?
They are autonomous to their profiles, so if they're attached to anyone, they will update any they're attached to. So best case scenario would be to just create a new profile under the new brokerage.
Good, great question.
That's a good question.
Denny, these videos are all housed on schmidtvideoclassroom.com. There is a first and third playlist along with our Blue Sync playlist. So schmidtvideoclassroom.com. If you go to schmidtresources.com, it's linked through there as well, but you can get there direct as the YouTube playlist, schmidtvideoclassroom.com, and then look for the first and third playlist. This video, along with all of that training, can be found there. So great question. And
Can I address something, Carrie, too, on the previous question?
Yes.
You do definitely want to make sure that if they do change brokerages, that you create a new profile for them, because otherwise they're going to, because they're in the system as a quote unquote agent, it will show that like we paid them. Like we're going to have to issue a 1099 to them. So if they change brokerages and then they're going to be a co-broke agent now, are going forward, you do create a new profile for them as a co-broke agent.
Okay, along with if they went from a Remax to a Keller Williams, you would also create a new profile.
Correct.
I would also like to clarify too, co-broke is basically anybody outside of your office. So if I have somebody in the Suttons Bay office and I have a Leland agent selling it, I'm still going to create a co-broke profile for that Leland agent, since I'm putting it under the Suttons Bay office.
That's a Michigan specific thing. So if you're in Florida and
Okay.
Ohio, check with your regional commission specialist prior to that
Okay.
to make sure that I do believe that's handled differently in each pocket that we operate in. But very good point for anybody in Michigan.
Yeah, so is Florida maybe putting them under the same record?
I
maybe?
believe some pockets are.
Okay.
Michelle's point, and this is great, you guys. I love this dialogue. This is how we all learn. To Michelle's point, if it is a Keller Williams or a Remax, please try to put the DBA. So that would be like saying Coldwell Banker. So instead of Coldwell Banker, put Coldwell Banker Schmidt Realty, Coldwell Banker Schmidt Realtors. Put Century 21 Northland. Try to put the DBA if you have it. That will really help with the duplicates as well. So thank you, Michelle, for that point.
That's actually a really good point. And on that as well is we're spelling a lot of that out. So like the Traverse City 522, instead of putting just, TC 522, we're spelling everything out just because not everybody's going to know the abbreviations that we use. So that if it is somebody from, even Elk Rapids or something, that they're adding the right one, and then to not have those duplicates. So it would be under the commission tab. And say I wanted to just, all right, well, let's remove this just for a second. But you'll see an example here. If I were to just search 522. You can see this one right here is the one we're going to want to use. This TC 522 and the CBSR, not everybody's going to know that. So these are actually duplicates that could be merged into here eventually, as long as there's no inventory on them, or we could remove them and then just add this. But we want to make sure that the agent's added under the full name of the brokerage spelled out.
Yeah, that's a good point because we all do abbreviate differently. So if you can spell it out, that would be great. And Michelle, I'll let you unmute here in a second. I want to get back to Christine's question. Jessica, Christine asked again if you could repeat the statement for Michigan agents. So say a Zeeland agent had a listing and a Holland agent was the buyer's agent. Can you explain that real quick to Christine?
Yeah, so each office is independently owned and operated. So even though it's an in-house deal, the system does treat it as a co-broke. So the selling, and if it's an agent outside of the office that you sit in, it would be considered co-broke, even if it's in the same company. If that makes sense.
And we can follow up with you on that because that is getting a little bit more detailed on that. And then Jessica, while we go to Michelle, if you could read Sue's comments, she may have cleared up the issue we thought we had. So if you take a look at that, and then we'll go back to you. But go ahead, Michelle, and unmute.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
I'm that crazy kid that is actually tracking all of this stuff. So there's actually somebody that's actually looking at all of this stuff after the fact and has been for the past 3 months. So what I'm kind of touching base on is, so like Remax, I'll use them for an example. I'm showing Remax spelled out RE/MAX, all capitals. I'm showing Remax RE, the R is capitalized and the rest of it is not. I'm seeing Remax RE/M Max. I'm seeing basically any and every way of how we can spell things. Keller Williams is KW, Keller Williams. I'm going to use a piece from Sunstar in Florida since I just saw it. There's a place called Anchor Realty on their side. And basically there's like 5 different Anchor Realties, because there's Anchor Realty, Keller Williams Anchor Realty, Keller Williams Anchor. It's like, you guys got to condense it. You guys got to figure out how to condense, because there's like, you guys keep adding them. So I'm going to kind of throw on like the RSCs if you wanted to kind of make it a project of yours to kind of go through some of your bigger competitors to see how many times they're in there and how many times they're put in there, like multiple, you know, whatever. That would be awesome.
Jessica, could you show them real quick how they could look that up? So if they are adding an agent they can't find and they have a brokerage they're not sure of, could you show them where they could look up how it was previously notated? So in the People tab on the search, if you drop that down and go to CoBrokes Office, this will have the list of all of them that are in there. And then if you have any question on how it's been done in the past, you can come here and take a look. Now, Sarah asked if there's a report that we can print out, and that I'm actually not sure. Jessica, do you know, or do we need to do a little research on that?
A report of just the brokerages?
Yes.
I have never tried, so I'm not sure, but we could look into that.
Yeah, Sarah, we can look into that and get back to you. It could be helpful.
One just key thing of searching AccountTech in general is less is more. So if you have just a portion of the name, last name is always one of the best case scenarios when you're searching for people. But like I said, if I have an extra space after the first name and I search the first and last name, it's not going to pull it up. So the best case scenario is to search by last name or a portion of, like when I do exit realty Paramount, I just search Paramount, and it's just going to be one of those indicators that you can that's going to pull them up. So you can see exit Paramount, where this is the one we really want to use. The full name, it's all spelled out, and we want to get as many of the CoBrokes agents attached to the proper one and get rid of this one.
Can two people that are already in there be merged so that we're not deleting, so that doesn't come off old data, old properties? Yes,
they can be merged. There's certain, like you can do this find duplicates. I'm not sure if everybody can, but they should be able to. But there is stuff. I know who was in Florida that worked on this?
Jessica, it was me.
Yeah, Caitlin. Yeah.
I was going to say that sometimes with the finding duplicates, you have to kind of finagle it a little bit to actually show the duplicates. It won't always pull up. I guess it's just sometimes how AccountTech feels that day, whether it's going to do it or not.
I think it has to do with person type too. Like it won't allow 2 different types to merge.
It can, but that's unadvisable.
Yeah, like this would be added for referral purposes, so we don't want to merge those. This
right.
is not sure why they're a buyer or seller, but they should be in there as an office, a CoBrokes, but unless maybe they bought it. So it depends on profile. And I would maybe leave it to RSCs to clean some of those up, just so we're not merging stuff that shouldn't be merged or deleted if there's inventory on it.
Yeah.
Great. And Risa had a good point. Sometimes they're duplicates because it's more than one branch, right? If you do Cole Banker Schmidt Realtors, there's gonna be more than one because we have a lot more than one branch, obviously. So that could be part of it as well.
Yeah, the Paramount would be a good example of that. That is one different office where there's probably a different, like she said, different branches.
And then I don't know if you had a comment for Sue's, but she did check one that did not have it. It was not on her dashboard. So it may be hit or miss on that. But Jessica will follow up with AccountTech and Adam and see where we're at.
Yeah, I can look in with Adam. I'm hoping that they have it cleaned up, but there may be some popping in there where they're showing up for missing that. I can follow up.
Great. Any other questions? We really truly appreciate you getting this data in here and getting it in a way that makes sense to everybody. And like I said, if you have any questions on the naming parameters, because we all, we do things differently, take a look in the search box or reach out to your regional commission specialist and they can help you, give you some direction on that.
Just real quick, Carrie, I am just going to show, you can see like this CoBroke office. If you click this inventory tab here, this is where you're going to see what they're tied to. So you can see this office has sold these and this is what's pending. So that's also very useful with your buyers and sellers to make sure you have the correct, you have those duplicates in there or whatnot.
Very nice. Good point.
But that's all I have if there's no other questions.
Great. We'll give it just a moment. I don't see any other ones coming in. Sarah, we'll get back to you about that report if that's a possibility. It could be helpful. And we'll get back to everybody about the dashboard issue, if it's been cleaned up or if it's hit or miss or whatnot.
Great.
Well, that was all, Jessica. Thank you so much. Julie, thanks for your input. Everybody with your great, amazing questions. Michelle, thank you for tracking all this great data. We appreciate your time, and we will see you tomorrow on Blue Sync at 9:30. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.